Hello friends, welcome back to Belle's Library. I'm Heather. Today we're doing a book review for Hyde by Kiersten White. I was blessed to get an e-arc of this one, and you know what? It came out back in May, I'm pretty sure, and I just haven't gotten the book review out for it yet. I kind of got a little slumpy, got a little rough, but we're going to do this review now. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the book, what I kind of thought, pros, cons, all that good stuff, if I recommend it to a certain person, what my rating is, all of that. But before we jump into that, please get down below, click subscribe. I'd love to have you here. I also have my Instagram, Goodreads, and Storygraph down there. Well, what else is linked? So you guys can check out all of that so we can talk bookish on more platforms if you'd like. But let's go ahead and kind of jump into what Hyde is all about. So this did release May 24th, 2022. And this book, we are following Mac, and she basically enters this hide-and-seek type competition, and she gets this grand prize of a bunch of money. I can't remember how much it was, but her and 13 others go out into the middle of the woods into this like abandoned amusement park that used to be a thing, and they all have to hide, and basically you have to not get caught over this week, and if you don't get caught, you're supposed to win all this money. And it's kind of set up as like a practice run almost, that they're possibly going to make it into something more like a game show. So you're kind of following all these characters go out there, but mainly we're following Mac. That's the point of view that we're in. And once the game kind of gets started, she starts realizing that maybe there's something a little bit more sinister going on within this game that they weren't really told about. So as far as my reading experience with this, I really had quite the mixed kind of experience. I don't know. So I started this book. I was feeling kind of slumpy. I was having a hard time getting into it. I think I read like 20%, and then I ended up putting it down and picking up some other stuff. And then a couple months later, I was like, okay, I want to read this. I want to know what's going on. We're going to pick this back up, and we're going to get going. And around 25% into the book, things really started picking up, and I was enjoying reading it quite a bit, from like 25% to 75%. And then the ending kind of right back to just wasn't really enjoying it. It kind of slowed down. I wasn't really into how things were playing out, and I was just like, eh. So about half the book I kind of was enjoying, and then half the book I kind of wasn't enjoying. It made it hard to get into, I will say that. The beginning, really, I feel like there was just so many characters. You have 14 contestants, and they're trying to like talk about each of them and what's going on a little bit. And I was just like, this is too much, and I am lost. And I'm not getting really a lot of the vibes of what's going on with this competition, and just nothing is really pulling me in. And I was like, okay, this is not that entertaining. But then we start getting a little bit more backstory with Mac. A few of the contestants do kind of leave and are off the show. And so I'm not having to remember quite as many, and I'm starting to get to realize which ones, you know, are which ones are the more jock personality, or the geekier one, or, you know, just like their different roles that they're going to play in the story. So I think that really helped. I also think that it got a little bit more high-paced as we kind of went through some more of the days of the competition and things started happening, and everybody's trying to piece together a little bit more of what's really happening, because they're starting to realize that something is off. Another thing that I felt like kind of threw off this story was there was a lot of talking about the character's kind of backstory, but it wasn't like building on it. It was just repetitive talking about the same thing over and over again. And it kind of got old. Like, it was like, okay, I need you to give me a little bit more and build on the story a little bit more, and not just keep it to the same things you're telling me over and over again. It just kind of didn't quite come together the way I would have wished it would have. But, you know, that's kind of a picky pet peeve there. I also really wish this author had gone into just a little more detail about the park. Like, I don't know, I just feel like we could have been like hiding in a hole, and like a spider like crawled on her, and she was like trying to freak out, but there's somebody outside, and like, I just feel like there could have been a little more, I guess, depth with some of that, or like, you know, feeling like slimy things in the dark, or I don't know, just something to like really like just make me feel like I'm there a little bit more, maybe a little more details about the park and what it looks like, and I just being able to envision it a little bit more would have been really nice. I will say there was a couple of tense moments where I was a little bit like, oh, this is a little scary, a little freaky, but I definitely think that could have been amped up a lot more, and that would have been really, really good. There was also a different part of the story where we're talking a little bit more about the competition, how it came to be, kind of the backstory of it, and the kind of actual goal of the competition and everything. And I did find that kind of interesting, and I think it really added to the story, and I think it kind of just built it up a little bit more. You understood what was really happening, and I think that it just wove in that part of the story pretty well. It gave you little pieces as you're going, so you could kind of slowly learn and unravel some of it. So I did think that that was really well done. There was also some really good talking points about being a millennial that kind of were interesting, and that, you know, all of these kids are out there and they're trying to get this prize money because essentially, like, as hard as we work, and we'll work multiple different things, like I'm a nurse, I'm trying to do my YouTube thing, like we try so many different extra gigs just to make enough money to live a life, and it just never seems to be enough. And I think that was kind of an interesting theme kind of thrown into the story that, you know, can be talked about and thought about. And I like when a story can just add a little bit extra, you know, conversation, I guess, into what I'm thinking about. I'll conversate about things with my husband that'll be like, oh yeah, this came up, and I don't know, it just adds a little something, which I can definitely appreciate. This next little piece that I kind of, you know, had written a little note about that is kind of interesting is a little bit spoilery. So if you haven't read this book and you don't want to hear spoilers, I'll just like a little spoiler thing down here, and you can just mute until you don't see spoilers and then unmute. But really quick, I thought it was very interesting. You're hearing more about basically this family that kind of made this competition because there's a monster there that they need to eat these people, but it has to be within their bloodline, and so they're like way out their descendants. I think it would have been really interesting to like have dived into how they would have possibly made more people within their bloodline to kind of add into this competition. Like somebody could have been like a sperm bank donor or something and like made a bunch of kids that way, and then they were like trying to find them. Or like there was this cult that kind of gave its descendants over, that, you know, he was like the head of the cult, and so he'd just be like, well, you can just have this one. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I think it could have been built on more and just talked about a little bit more as to how they found these contestants and these descendants that are way out in the line. My last little idea here is I think this could have been a very interesting TV show, like, or a limited TV show or something, where we go like day by day with this competition and we see the contestants going in, and we can like also have snippets of the contestants and their life before and what was going on with them, and then also like other interesting things about the family that kind of put together this competition and what's really going on with them, and you're just getting little, I don't know, I think it could have been really well done and interesting to kind of have that as a limited TV series. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. If anybody's out there watching this that can make that happen, I think that would be really cool. So overall, I ended up giving this book a 3.5 stars. I definitely enjoyed parts of it, and didn't enjoy other parts of it, but I don't think overall it was like a terrible book or anything. I think that it could have been better, but it also could have been definitely been worse. So it's just kind of in the middle. We're hanging at 3.5 stars. That's where I feel comfortable with it. It's not going to be an all-time fave, but you know, I still enjoyed at least half of the book quite a bit. And oh, the ending. Yeah, like I said, it was a little rough. It was a little open-ended. If you don't like open-ended endings, then don't go for this one. I can handle them sometimes, but this one was just not quite there. So I hope that you guys will check out this book and let me know what you guys thought. And thank you again to the publishers for giving me a NetGalley eARC. I really appreciate that. But know that these are all my own thoughts and opinions, and that's our review for today. If you haven't subscribed and you feel up to it, go ahead and do that real quick. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye!